Hello everyone, my name is Elkjaer and this is my submission for CRDQ, which is an upcoming marathon this April, hosted by Games Done Quick. So this will also act as a fully commentated speedrun of Horizon Zero Dawn, so I hope you will enjoy it. So the speedrun category we are going to be going over here will be New Game Plus on Ultra Hard. So without further ado, let's get started. So we picked New Game Plus, and as you can see, Ultra Hard is the hardest difficulty in the game. So, without further ado, let's get started with the run. Just a little heads up here before we get into it. If you're looking at my splits, I'm not comparing against my current world record. I will be comparing against my average time, since this is a commentated run, and I'm probably not going to be able to play to my fullest ability while commentating at the same time, because I'm going to be focused on two things. So, right off the bat here, time will start as soon as the first cutscene is skipped. So, let's get into it. So right off the bat here, you'll notice that I'm rolling. That is because rolling, or dodging, is the fastest form of movement in the game. For those who like the stats on it, it's about 2 seconds faster for every 150 feet you travel in the game. So it adds up to quite a lot over the course of the entire run. And for those who have played this game but not tried New Game Plus, you will notice that we are already playing as adult Aloy here. This is because in New Game Plus, the game automatically skips the childhood section of the game, which normally is at the beginning of the game and kind of acts as a big tutorial and sets up a little bit of the story and Aloy's background. But that is automatically skipped in New Game Plus, which is very nice for speedruns, because it's basically a big auto-scroller. There's not much to it. So in New Game Plus, we get right into the action. So starting off here, we're gonna use our freeze weapon and some hardpoint arrows there. You're gonna see this combo a couple of times throughout the run, or a good amount of times, because it's very effective. Because right here, we're coming up to our very first fight against the Sawtooth. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to freeze the Sawtooth and then hit a triple shot with my arrows into the eyes of the Sawtooth. And that's going to kill him in one blow. Unless I miss. Let's have a look here. So he's completely frozen. 3 arrows in the eyes. And there we go. And that's how you take care of the Sawtooth pretty quickly. So given that it is New Game Plus, you will notice that my weapons are quite powerful. That is because I am using a New Game Plus file that has been specifically set up to benefit the speedrun. I'll talk about the weapons a bit later on, but if you want a detailed look at all my weapons that I'm using in this run, I have a video on my YouTube channel that goes over all the weapons I'm using in the run, so you can find them there if you are interested in seeing all the weapons and how specifically they're set up. So coming up here is the next quest here, where we are gonna set up for the proving, but first there's a lot of exposition done here throughout Mother's Heart, which we just have to get through. Not really much combat going on here. So some other things I can talk about is, so what is unique about Ultra Hard? Well, it's not actually just the hardest difficulty of the game, it also has some unique features to it. So there's no health bars on enemies. Enemies will obviously do more damage, but they're also more aggressive, so they will attack a lot faster and there's less time in between their attacks. Another thing is also all your weapons has been nerfed, which doesn't look like it when you play New Game Plus, but if you play New Game Plus on easy difficulty, you would see you would be able to do quite a lot more damage with these weapons. But on Ultra Hard they've been nerfed, so they only do about half the damage they normally would. And another thing on Ultra Hard is there's no aim assist. Aim assist is completely turned off from the game. But luckily for me, I personally prefer playing games without aim assist, so it's not a big deal for me. Now we're gonna head towards the proving, where we are gonna have some more combat coming up here. You'll also notice that I'm wearing the Shield Reaver armor, which is the outfit Aloy is wearing right now. It's kind of shining, it's because it has a shield on top of it. So you'll notice my health bar is blue in the top left corner and not red. That's because there's a shield on top of it. And it kind of works like if you have played Halo, that if you lose all your shield, it will regen after a little while. So it's quite effective and actually help us tank a lot of damage throughout this run. So coming up here in the proving, we have to deal with some grazers. So they're gonna come running straight towards us. We're gonna use a blast bomb here to take one, or take as many out as possible, preferably, so we can loot one of them. And then we have to loot a second one here as well. So we'll go up here, make sure to shoot where it's gonna run at, and get on with it. So yeah, you can see the health bar up there is blue. But if I take damage, you can see my normal health behind it. The Shield Weaver also helps make sure that we don't lose too much normal health. So we don't have to use as much medicine throughout the run. Because we can only carry a limited amount of medicine to heal ourselves. The green bar below the health is the medicine, which we can use to heal ourselves. And we also have some health potions that can instantly heal a lot of health as well. Should we get to a critical point. So in the proving here, we're gonna see a first big skip here coming up, where we are gonna abuse the checkpoint system a little bit. So normally you have to go to the proving fight, but it turns out the trigger for the proving fight is a lot bigger than you would think it is. So first we're gonna do a runoff here. So we get down here, then we're gonna climb up here to the arm, cutting the trowel here a little bit short. And then we're gonna do the skip here. We're gonna go to the left here, then go a little bit to the right to hit an invisible trigger that you need to hit. Otherwise the checkpoint we're gonna use here won't be there. And we're gonna jump on these rocks to get to the other side here. And you'll see right here is the trigger for the proving fight. And now we're in the middle of it. So here we just have to kill a couple of Eclipse soldiers. There are 3 waves to this. We'll just try to take them out as fast as possible. The first 2 waves, we can kill them all with body shots. And we preferably want to kill them in a specific order, so they act the same way every time. Or roughly the same way every time. But with experience in this game, you kind of know what the enemy is gonna do. And then right here is the last wave. These guys have more health, so we're gonna use a trouble shot to take out the big guy here. One of the arrows missed, so it didn't do enough damage. We can body shot these 3, then headshot this guy. And the last guy's up there. And then we can loot the leader here to finish the quest. So now we're done with the proving, and we are being sent into All Mother here. So I'm probably not going to explain that much of the story here, because if I were to explain all of the story in the game, I wouldn't really have time to talk about the speedrun, because there is a bit to it. So if I don't talk much about the story, just, you know, it's what it is. So right here we're supposed to follow Terza, but we can actually just walk to the end and wait for her. Whenever there's a character you need to follow in this game, you don't actually have to follow them. You can just walk to the end point and wait. In a few places, the trigger for the next thing to happen is already spawned in, but this time we have to wait for Terza to get here. Also, you will notice that some of my medicine has disappeared here. That's because after the proving, you are scripted to have a certain amount of health and medicine. So it doesn't really matter how much health we lose on the first 2 splits, because we always have the same amount when we get to this point here. And then right here we are just gonna have to follow Terza once again. And then coming up we're gonna have our first fight with the Corruptor. Or with a Corruptor. Where we're gonna do a little bit of a trick to hopefully get the Corruptor to jump into the arena a little bit faster. I'll explain it once we get to it. So yeah, this is New Game Plus on Ultra Hard. This is my personal favorite category in the game, and the one I have by far spent the most time on, because I just really like the fast-paced nature of New Game Plus, and And ultra hard, you know, I like the challenge of it. So now we can go out of the cave here. And then we're gonna head down here to the Corruptor fight. So in the Corruptor fight, this fight is very scripted. There's also gonna be a lot of Striders, which is another type of machine. But we only have to kill the Corruptor to end the fight. It doesn't matter, any of the Striders doesn't matter, we only need to kill the Corruptor. That's the important thing here. So what we are going to do in this fight is we're going to do a little trick that's hopefully going to get the Corruptor to jump in a little bit faster. And hopefully it works here. So talk to Resh here, skip the cutscene. Then we're going to use these proximity bombs, which are kind of like landmines. We're going to place 4 of them right here. Because that's where the Corruptor is going to land when he jumps in. And then we're going to wait for the gate to break open. And we're going to shoot a bomb. And there you can see the Corruptor skipped forward. It kind of like just teleported. And he jumps in a lot faster. And we can loot him and finish the quest right away. So the thing is there, for some reason, the Corruptor kind of skips forward like that when you hit one of the Striders that is like on the front row before before they get through the gate. So that's a nice little trick to cut a couple of seconds off, which you normally would have to wait for the Corruptor. Because normally the Corruptor jumps in last into that arena. Now we are outside the Embrace, which is the starting area of the game. So now we are free to explore the entire map. Because in case you don't know, Horizon Zero Dawn is an open world game. And for the first 3 quests there in New Game Plus, you have to be inside the Embrace. And now we also have a mount here, which is which we are going to use a lot more, because this is the fastest way of transporting in the game, going from A to B. So in this run, we're also only going to be going through the main quest of the game. We're not going to do any side activities, because it's not necessary. Except 2 corrupted zones. But those 2 corrupted zones has to be cleared, because it's kind of part of the main quest. So, you know, it kind of works like that. But in case you don't know, the main quest is split into 3 parts. There is the part where Aloy learns about the past. There's the part where Aloy finds out what happens to Aaron's sister, which is a character we meet later. And the part where Aloy helps the Nora tribe. And so once you've been all 3 of those parts of the main quest, the final quest will unlock. And up here we're going to do the first part here of the War Chief quest, which is right in here, where we have to examine the battlefield. We don't only have to examine a Watcher and a Corruptor, and then we're done. So we can craft a bit of ammo here. And then stand here and wait for a guy to spawn in. Now this is part of the quest called the War Chief Strom, but we actually won't be coming back to this quest until later on. We're only going to do the beginning of the quest, and then get back to the rest of it later. It's just because of the routing. This is right on the way to where we need to go now. But the rest of the quest is a bit further away from here, so we'll come back to it later. So the way quest works in this game, in Horizon, is it's not like if you have played a GTA game where if you start a mission, you have to finish the mission before you can do anything else. In Horizon, you can do like part of a quest and then come back to it later. Like you're not forced to finish it once you start it. So that works out into a favor when it comes to routing. And if you were to watch a 100% run of this game, you would see that we do that quite a lot. And like 100%, there are certain times in the run where we have more than 10 quests active. And right here, we're going to do a little neat trick here. We're going to shoot a bomb at our mount, so it becomes aggressive. Because if you do enough damage to your mount, it becomes aggressive to you, so it's technically no longer your mount. And the reason why we do this is because a mount can't enter a village here. So we have to come out on the other side of the village here. And since we no longer have an active mount, it means that our mount can spawn anywhere. So when we go here, turn the camera and whistle, we are a lot more likely to get a good spawn like that. We also turn the camera when we whistle for mounts, because it manipulates the spawn of the mount. I'll talk more about that later. But if you hadn't hit your mount there, it was more likely that you were gonna get a bad spawn. Or you would be guaranteed to get the worst spawn there. So here's the first corrupted zone. We have to clear 2 of them to cross the Carja border. Oh, did not go well. There we go. Had to call a new mount. I unfortunately got knocked off my mount there. But I got a new spawn right away, so let's get away before we get hit. So yeah, not the best corrupted zone there. Normally you want to do that without getting knocked off your mount, but oh well. So in that spawn corrupted zone there, all we did was shoot a fire arrow on the blaze canisters, and then they blew up. So that's an easy way to take out the grazers there. So the corrupted zone, there's one more corrupted zone. The enemy spawn location is pretty much random. They only spawn within a certain area. So you have to kind of plan how you go about the corrupted zone every time you get to it. But there will always be the same amount of enemies every time you end them. And the same type of enemies. So you see when I come over this hill here, I want to spot where all the enemies are. There are 3 watchers and 2 scrappers there. I can see all of them here. So then you just plan out which one or which kill order you go by. And you see my mount got in the way there, so I had to hit him. He did die, okay. Got a little bit confused there. I did not think the scrapper was gonna die from that, but he did. My mount is getting hit by my old mount here, so we need to get away. There we go. So not the best corrupted zones there. I got knocked off in the first one, and I had to damage my own mount in the second one and call for a new one. Not ideal, but I guess I'll take it. There's a bit of randomness to the Carja border, because you don't know where the enemies are gonna be. So you just kind of have to work with what you get. But if you have good execution, you can do it pretty well every time. And coming up here is the last part of the Carja border. We have to clear the fort fight here. There's a Corruptor, 2 Watchers, and a Scrapper. We're gonna take out the Scrapper first, because he's closest to us, and he's the most aggressive of the 4. So I didn't get a one-shot on him. Gonna use the bombs, because the Watchers are just gonna die to that. Troubleshot the Corruptor, and that was really bad, so I have to troubleshot again. There we go. And take him out like that. Keep whistling for my mount, so he's close. There we go. Alright. So the thing there with the Corruptor, it's a pretty tricky shot to hit on him, because you want to hit one of his weak spots, which is on top of his head. He has like 2 cannons up there. And you want to hit a triple shot on them, which should have done about 600 damage. But I missed it pretty badly, so it only got about 100 damage, so I had to shoot another one to take him out. And just to explain, when I say triple shot, it means I'm shooting 3 arrows at once. It's a skill Aloy has in the game, where you can shoot 3 arrows at once. There's also double shots, but so where you shoot 2. So whenever I say triple shot or double shot, it means the amount of arrows I'm shooting. And on big machines, you preferably want to shoot 3 arrows at a time, because to get as much damage out of the bow as possible. So now we get a little bit of a break here, because we are on our way to Meridian. So we're not gonna have any combat here. So if this was a marathon run, this would be a great time to read some donations here. But I guess I can also talk about my mount here. So you saw, you know, we could abuse the fact that if we damage him, we can manipulate his spawn and stuff. But we also flip the camera pretty much every time we want to call him out. We want our camera to be in a certain spot. because the mount spawns off screen. So if you flip your camera to a certain angle, you can kind of manipulate where the spawn is, or where the mount is gonna spawn. Because you preferably want him to be in a spot that's convenient for where you are going next. So I can talk about the weapons I'm going to be using in this run. The main weapon I'm going to use the most is the weapon I have on right now, which is the striker bow. It has an ability that when you pull the bow all the way back, it gives a big damage boost to your arrows, so they do even more damage. So it's very convenient. And with the upgrades I have on my weapons, it can shoot really fast as well. The other weapon you have seen is the ice cannon. It's called the ice rail. It kind of works like a flamethrower, but with ice, so you could call it an ice thrower if you will. And it's basically just a weapon I'm using to freeze machines, because when machines are frozen, they take a lot more damage. Then you have seen the bomb sling I'm using, the blast sling. I use them as bombs. You also saw the proximity bombs earlier, which are basically a sort of landmine. We are not going to use those anymore. Those were only used for that strat. But the blast bombs is going to be used quite often as well in the later part of the run. And the last weapon, which you haven't seen yet, is the I completely forgot the name of it. It's called the power shot bow, which we are using to deal a lot more damage. It's basically like a bow, but it does more damage. But the drawback to it is it's a lot slower to pull the bow back, so we are not using it that much. We're only using it where we can conveniently one-shot certain machines by using it. Now we're heading into Meridian. And right here, when we're halfway across the bridge, we're gonna abuse the checkpoint system, because then we can fast travel inside Meridian, which is a bit faster than walking the rest of the bridge. And then we're gonna meet up with Aaron here. And then we're heading for Olin's apartment. So just a little story reason, Aloy is here to find Olin, because Aloy believes Olin is involved with the attack that happened during the proving, and she wants to figure out why.
Here we are. Trying to break anything.
So now we head upstairs here. So in here we're just doing a lot of investigation as to figure out where he is. So Aloy is using her iconic focus to figure out some clues as to where Olin is located.
Olin? I knew he could read contracts, but I never took him for a poet.
And once that is done, we're going to move on to the excavation site, which is where Olin is located. This is also where we get the third part of the main quest, where we have to find Aaron's sister.
Wait, I'm not just don't.
Right here, we are opening the map twice. I did it 3 times. I'm not sure why I did that, but oh well. The reason why I opened the map twice there is because normally when you open your map the first time, when you have discovered new things, things will slowly be presented to you on the map, kind of a cinematic way to show you all the things you have discovered along your way. But that obviously takes a lot of time, so the way you can skip that animation is just by opening the map twice. So if you see me open the map twice throughout the run, it's not because I do it by accident. It's actually intended to avoid having that animation. So here we set up our weapons for the excavation site fight, because we're going to be using quite a lot of ammo here, because there's a lot of enemies here. So there's going to be 2 corruptors and a lot of Eclipse soldiers. And these corruptors are actually stronger than the first 2 corruptors we have seen. So we are going to freeze these ones, because these guys have a lot more health. So we can't use the strats we used in the other places to take these guys out. This is one of the hardest fights in the game. it goes by pretty fast if you nail it, but it's just a lot of things you have to shoot. Like 2 big machines that can move around pretty fast, and then all the soldiers you have to hit precise shots on. So I'll try my best to commentate it as it happens here. First we're gonna go up here, and then we have a little cutscene where we talk to Silence, and then we go into the fight. Alright, so coming up here, we're gonna stay behind these rocks on the pallet, then we're gonna expose ourselves and start freezing the first corruptor before he moves. Then use the precision arrows there to take him out in one shot. Then we're gonna look where the second corruptor is. He was not close to us, so we had time to take out the 2 guys on the left. Freeze the second corruptor. Use the triple shots here to take him out. 2 triple shots is enough once he's frozen. And there was a guy that survived on the left, so we take him out. Take out the 3 archers on top. Missed the shot. There we go. And the last guy behind the barrel, and that's it. So that was a pretty solid fight, except I missed that shot on one of the archers on the tower. And that was pretty clean. So there was also a lot of specific movement you do in that fight to avoid taking too much damage, and also to get the corruptors in specific spots. But that fight can be broken up into a lot of detail. Also, the second corruptor can do a lot of different things. So you kind of have to look at the second corruptor after you have killed the first one to kind of figure out what situation you are dealing with. It's another thing that just comes with experience. Because as soon as you see where the second corruptor is and what he's doing, you can kind of figure out what your next step is in that fight. And then we're gonna meet up with Aaron here again. This is for the ambush. This is the first part of figuring out what happened to his sister. First we have to take out these 3 machines here. Gonna use some bombs here. Take out one with a triple shot. Oop. And use 2 bombs on the other one, and that's that. And then we need to find Aaron and talk to him.
Thanks for the help. Right. Yeah. Come on.
And let's get back on the mount here. Right here, again, we're supposed to follow Aaron, but again, we can just walk ahead. But the game doesn't like us to get too far away from him, so we're gonna get forced off our mount here in a sec. You can see there, I'm forced off my mount. I don't actually take any damage there, but it looks like I do. Because it's just the animation of you getting knocked off your mount. But you don't actually lose any health from it. And once the dialogue is over, you can jump back on the mount again. Because as soon as you get to this spot, it doesn't matter where Aaron is. You can just scan or examine the blood here and move on. Aaron just teleports closer to you. And then we're gonna move along here again. And once again here, once we get up here next to a tree, we're gonna get knocked off our mount again. Again, because Aaron is too far away. But this time there's no dialogue from Aloy, so we can jump back on the mount right away. Like that. And here comes the ambush fight here. So first there's gonna be 5 human enemies, and then 2 Ravagers are gonna spawn. So let's take them out here. So right here, we are gonna headshot this guy because he didn't go down the zip line. Then take out the archers on top. There, and then the last ground guy. Load in a triple shot, get our ice rail out. Because just like the Sawtooth in the beginning of the run, we're gonna freeze these guys and hit them in the ice. And that is enough to kill them. Then look for the second one. He's a bit slow at getting down here, so he's gonna be right there. Let's freeze him. And boom. And then craft a little bit of ammo before the cutscene starts. Gotta utilize the downtime as much as possible. And then we just have to examine the ambush site here to figure out what happened to Aaron's sister, and then we're done with the quest.
What are those leather straps? Armor straps, cut with a knife, and a rock with blood on it.
There's also a couple more things you can examine here, but I'm only obviously examining the things you have to do in order to progress the game. So it is very specific what I picked there. We're gonna flip the camera here, whistle, turn our camera to the ground. Another thing with the mount is, if you look directly at your mount, there's a chance that he's gonna stop moving towards you. So that's why I pointed my camera down there, so he kept running towards me until he was next to me. Now we're gonna head to Maker's End. There's 2 Ravagers there on my right, but they weren't close enough, so I didn't really have to worry about them. So I'm just free to move on. So Maker's End is the first quest in the storyline as to what happened in the past. So that is part of the storyline in terms of what happened in the past. And right here, if you pay attention to the navigation bar in the top center of the screen, you'll notice there's a campfire there. As soon as that turns green, we're gonna turn to the right and then head across the desert. Because the campfire turning green there means that it's active and we can fast travel to it later. So we're actually gonna use that campfire later for when we are gonna go inside Zero Dawn. So that's why we went a little bit to the left just to get that campfire before we cross the desert there. Because it's gonna save us some time later on. And then it's just a straight ride here to Maker's End. So in Maker's End we're gonna have a first encounter with the Deathbringer. But this Deathbringer is low on health. Because story reasons, the Eclipses literally just dug it out of the ground. So so it can't move and it's pretty low on health. And with our power shot bow, we can actually one-shot it. Because with the power shot bow, we actually have the power shot bow can also shoot 3 shots at once, or 3 arrows. So we can do quite a lot of damage in one shot from it. As you saw on the Corruptor we did an Excavation Site. We killed him in one shot, and we're gonna do the exact same here with this Deathbringer. First, there's a little bit of a skip we're gonna do to get into the Maker's End fight a bit early. There's a lot of enemies outside here at Maker's End, but you don't actually have to kill any of them. You can just go past them. And then we're gonna do a little skip, and then we're gonna go into the fight here. Also, besides the Deathbringer, there's a couple of more enemies here. We're gonna go down here. Climb around this debris. And right here is the skip, so it's a little precise, but it works out pretty nifty when you get it. Get on this beam, do a running jump up here. We're gonna do a jump across to the other scaffolding. Okay, I messed up the skip, so you don't get to see it. That's a shame. So we're gonna use the backup strat, which means we need to load in a triple shot in the striker bow as well. And then power shot bow, there's Deathbringer here. We're gonna use the triple shot on the big guy in the middle. Take out the bombs on the ground guys in front of us. That guy got a little close. And then the archers are left. Gonna look for him. He's way off to the left. And that was a bad miss. Ooh, what a shot. Okay, backup shot there was pretty cool. And then loot the focus there and move on. So I missed the skip there, but when you miss that skip, it's not worth it to try it again, because it doesn't save enough time. So if you mess it up, it's just faster to just immediately go for the backup strat, which is going the normal way into the fight. So sadly I couldn't show it off there, but the fight is very similar nonetheless. Right here we're going to use the Deathbringer statue to get upstairs early. That saves like 2 floors of the building and a small cutscene. So it's very nifty to climb up there. And now we just have a quick climb here to the top of the building. So at the top of the building here, we're gonna have to watch 3 holograms, which is essentially cutscenes, but we can move around while we listen to them. Sadly, however, there's no way to skip them, which kind of sucks, because they're a bit long, and they could save a lot of time if we could skip them. But unfortunately, we have never been able to find any way to skip these holograms. So, but there's always the hope that at some point somebody will eventually find a way to skip these. It would be like it's like the holy grail of time saves in Horizon is to find a way to skip the holograms here. But maybe one day. But for now, we still have to watch them, so it gives us a little bit of break. But, oh well. It's a nice break in the run, especially if you're doing 100%. 100% is about 7 hours in this game, or the world record is. A new runner would probably be more like 10 hours. But, so, in longer categories, it's a nice help in terms of like getting a break in the middle of the run, because you have a chance to quickly go to the bathroom, or stand up a little bit, or stretch out, I don't know. Get a little bit of food if you so desire. But personally, I would prefer skipping them, because, you know, they get a bit boring to watch after a while. So right here, when we come around the corner here, and then we're gonna be at the holograms.
Good handholds. All right, made it.
The holograms are gonna spawn here on the table, and we have to examine them with the focus for them to play. So we just line up the crosshair of the focus, so it scans as soon as they spawn in.
Good to, it's been years.
Where's your legal team, Ted?
No need.
So you'll notice here,
18 lawsuits, pneumonia.
you'll notice there I was crafting ammo while they were talking.
I assume
That is because normally when you open your weapon wheel, it slows down the game.
To be interesting.
But if you do it while dialogue is going on, the game obviously can't slow down because the dialogue kind of overrides it. So you just want to time you crafting the ammo while they talk, so the game doesn't slow down at all. And then we're setting up our weapons for the next fight coming up.
those.
So shut them down.
Obviously, Liz, we would if we could. They're not responding.
Are you telling me a swarm has gone rogue, Ted?
It's worse than that.
Show me the data.
So yeah, unfortunately there's not much going on up here, you just kind of have to watch these. That's the first one done. And the second one spawns in the same location here.
This isn't a glitch.
And if you want to play around, you can have some little fun out here. Because, fun fact, this thing is not solid. You can just kind of hide yourself in here.
Bad, Ted. It's a pocket.
As you can see, it's not solid, so you can kind of hide yourself in here.
Robots.
For some reason, this pillar just doesn't have collision.
Emergencies.
And you
A little bit of an oversight.
self-replication.
It's kind of fun to play around with while you wait for the holograms.
Not anymore.
Also, the other pillars over there also don't have any collision, so you can do that on those as well.
Everything else is just
There's a little trick here we're gonna do during the third hologram, as you will see.
bare in 15 months.
But now we're just waiting for it to be over.
We're talking extinction.
I get it, Liz. So how do I stop it while it's contained?
It's not contained. It can't be.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
Liz, I will do anything you
So obviously, if this was in the marathon, we would just probably do some donations or something here.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Ted.
Donations, or if there's anything the announcer wants to read, we could do it right here,
Robots.
as nothing really is going on.
But somehow she defeated.
And then right here, the last hologram is gonna spawn right here.
Well, but life went on, or we wouldn't be here.
So doing the last hologram here, we're actually gonna do a little bit of a skip, which
Jesus, Liz. There has to be
skip, or I guess the better way would to call it trick. So normally, you cannot call your mount when you're inside a building or a settlement, and this is a building. in case you couldn't tell. But the developers made a little bit extra oversight out here, because this balcony, for some reason being out here on this balcony, counts as you being outside. So if you stand out here and then whistle, you can get a mount to spawn up here. This is very useful, because it turns out when you use the mount up here, or when you're on a mount and then fast travel, you will have the mount after the fast travel as well. So that's why it's better to have a mount up here. So what we are going to do is we're going to park our mount right over here. He's going to stand right there. And then we will stand right here at the elevator door and wait for the hologram to be over. Because there's a conversation that spawns with silence right here as soon as the as soon as the hologram is over, which we then have to go through, and then we can fast travel out of here. So we'll see once I'm done with the conversation. I'll jump on the mount and then fast travel, and then when I come out of the fast travel, I will still have the mount. So it just saves me from having to call a fresh mount after the fast travel. It's only used right here in the these New Game Plus / any % speedruns. But in 100% runs, you utilize it a lot more, fast traveling with the mount. So right here, as soon as the dialogue is over, you can get on your mount. You don't have to get all the way on it, you just have to have the climbing animation there. And then we fast travel all the way back to a place that was just outside the Embrace, because now we're gonna do the rest of the War Chief quest, which is the one we did the first part of earlier, if you remember. So the next 2 quests here is going to be in the Nora quest line, where we help out the Nora tribe. And you can see right there, as soon as I came out of the load screen, I was on the mount. Of course, if you fast travel to a settlement or inside a building, you won't have the mount. But as long as you fast travel to a place where you can have a mount, you will have the mount. So it's just very convenient. So we're gonna head across the forest here, and then we're gonna go up here to Sona's last known location. Sona is the War Chief, by the way. Do a little bit of an examine here. In this location, there's only one thing you need to examine, which is the bandages. So examine those, and then move on. Don't have to examine anything else. And then we're gonna meet up with Sona after we have gone through this brave trail here.
Looks like Sona and her braves headed for that ridge.
And then we're gonna do what is the War Chief fight, which has a lot of human enemies, and that means we're gonna utilize the blast bombs quite a lot, because they're quite effective against human enemies and small machines, which is conveniently everything that's in the War Chief fight. Right here we will meet up with Sona. And then we're heading for the War Chief fight. So the War Chief fight actually has a bit of randomness to it when you're playing ultra hard, because 4 of the enemies can actually spawn in as leaders, which is the guys that have the black hoodies on. And the problem with that is leaders actually have a lot more health than regular soldiers, so they will not die from 1 bomb. So I have to use 2 bombs, which can just throw the fight out into a bit of randomness. But let's see here. Okay, no leader on the first guy, so we throw a bomb, head down the zip line, take out the guy in front of us, take out the 2 scrappers down here. Yeah, that was a bit slow. That's a leader right there, so I have to use 2 bombs. Unfortunately, I got hit by a watcher, so I'm kind of blinded. Also, you move slower when you're blinded, unless you're rolling. So you can mitigate it a little bit. Take out the guys across. I'm low on bombs, because I missed a lot of shots. And there we go. Also, the last couple of guys are not always in the same location, so you kind of have to know where they can be. They will always be in certain positions, so you always have an idea of where they are. But But you still need to figure out where they are so you can take them out. Because of all the chaos in the fight, those guys have a lot of time to move into a specific position. And right there you saw I crafted ammo again during the dialogue to avoid the slowdown. And now we just need to talk to Sona and Mal here, and then we'll are done with the War Chief quest.
I found something. Damn. There's blood.
I also killed all of them there in a very specific order. Not just because it's fast, but also to avoid some of the enemies to run for cover. Because there are certain enemies in fights that are more likely to go behind cover than others. And you don't want them to be behind cover, because it makes it a lot harder to shoot them. Right there we flip the camera to get a better mount spawn, as you can see. And then we're gonna head on to the camps, which is the first part of the quest called Revenge of the Nora. Now the camps is a little bit unique, or actually the entire quest, the Revenge of the Nora, is a bit unique. Because you don't actually have to start the quest to get everything to spawn in. So we're gonna utilize that to our advantage here. So we're gonna cut across the forest right here. Because we're actually just gonna go straight to the camps instead of going to the meeting point with Sona and Val, where the quest would normally start. Because after the War Chief quest, all the objectives for the Revenge of the Nora has already spawned in, and you don't actually need to start the quest. So we can kind of do the quest out of order of what you normally would do. So it's a bit of a sequence break, if you will. So what this allows us to do is, not only can we go to the camps a bit faster, because we go there directly, but also during the camps, there will not be any Eclipse soldiers, or sorry, there will not be any Nora soldiers helping us with the camps. Which is very nice, because that means they are a lot more consistent, because the Nora will not affect where the Eclipse soldiers are gonna be and what they're gonna do. So we can do the camps completely on our own. So coming up here is the first camp. We're gonna go a little bit to the left here, because we need to activate the campfire over there. Because we use that in a little bit. And then we're gonna head to the first camp here. So the first camp we're gonna go a bit loud to take out all the enemies. Shoot that guy. Take that guy out with a bomb. Use a fire arrow on the blaze on the background to take out hopefully 2. I only took out 1, but it's fine. Whistle for a mount here before we take out the last 2. This guy is all the way in the back. Can I kill him? I did. That's a good shot. Nice. So that's the first camp. I'm also trying to whistle for my mount in very specific spots, so my mount catches up to me as soon as I'm done with the objective. So that when I'm done, I can just move on right away. You're gonna see the same thing here at the second camp. I'm gonna whistle for my mount in a specific spot. This camp we're gonna go a bit more stealthy, because these guys love to run around all over the place, so if you go stealthy, the enemies are way more predictable. So we're just gonna take them out. And my version of stealthy is not crawling around. When I say stealthy, it just means I'm not getting spotted. It's stealthy as long as you don't get spotted. You can run all you want. As long as you don't get spotted, it's stealth in my head. That was a really bad shot. There we go. Back up headshot. That's a little bit bad, because then my mount might not have caught up to me, but there we go. That's the second camp done, and then we're gonna go to the third camp. But you'll notice the quest objective hasn't updated at all during this. Well, it's because we haven't started the quest, so the game doesn't think the quest is going on. Oh, I missed the shot. So now we have everyone alerted. It's not bad here at the third camp. It's actually, it can work to your benefit. And where's the last guy? He's all the way over there. That's gonna be a trigger shot, but can we hit it? We can. Alright, good enough. There we go. That was a little bit tricky, but we got it. So it's very important that you know exactly how many enemies that are each camp, because you have to kill all of them. Because if one is still alive, they're just gonna respawn, because the quest isn't active. And you'll notice here, even though we haven't started the quest, Val and Sona has still spawned here. And we can talk to them.
Yes.
So it's a little bit weird, because we haven't started the quest, but they still appear here once you have cleared the entire camp, all 3 camps. And it allows us to go into Ring of Metal, again, even though the quest hasn't started. Another downside to this is there's actually no checkpoints here, so if you die, you're gonna lose a lot of time. But it's very unlikely you're gonna die here, so it's not too risky. Set up our weapons here while we wait for Ball. He's a bit slow, or he didn't take the same shortcut that I did. So now we're heading inside Ring of Metal here. Inside Ring of Metal, there's a lot of enemies and they spawn in 3 waves. I'll try my best to explain it. It's a bit hard to explain, but I'll try my best here. So first off, we're just gonna run past these guys. We don't have to kill them. We'll just ignore them, because killing them would be a waste of time. So they are allowed to live today. And once we get up here, we skip the cutscene. Whoop, don't jump. And then we try to take out this bellow bag as fast as we can, before the enemies get too close to us. All the other enemies. As soon as he's dead, take out the precision arrow, walk a bit to the right, and then hit the blaze from all the way over here. And that's gonna start the rest of the fight here. We take out the bellow bag because he's really slow, so he would take a lot of time to get to us. So we take him out before blowing up the blaze. And now we clear out these guys. And because of all the noise we made while we killed the bellow bag, all these guys will be conveniently in the same spot instead of spread out. These guys is a bit further back. So right here, as soon as everyone is cleared out, 2 more waves are gonna spawn. And you want to get to them as fast as possible so they are still grouped together. Trying to spot where they are. Because if you don't get to them fast enough, they will scatter. And I am doing a really bad job right here. Because you can see I'm only hitting 1 enemy at the time. That's because they had enough time to scatter out. So you can see right there, as soon as they spawn in, they're still in groups. Which is going to make it a lot easier. Because the blast bombs do a lot of splash damage. Allowing us to kill multiple with 1 bomb. And as soon as everyone is dead, cutscene plays, and we can fast travel to the campfire we activated right before the camps. So that was not a great fight at all. That can go a lot better. So like I said, you have to be really fast there so you can get to the enemies as soon as they spawn. So they are still grouped together, allowing you to kill them while they're still grouped, so you need less bombs. Right here, now we're actually gonna start the quest called Revenge of the Nora. We still have to start it, and it started by quick saving at that campfire. Then we go through the starting cutscene. And because we have already completed all the objectives, the quest completes instantly. So now we have completed the quest. And the reason why we still have to complete the quest, or start the quest and complete it like that, is because if you don't do that, the quest won't count as completed, and a quest later on will not activate. So if you don't do that, the game will softlock. Now we're gonna be on our way to Gravehorde here. So Gravehorde is where we're gonna have a second encounter with the Deathbringer. And this Deathbringer is a little tougher, but again, it's New Game Plus, so we can take out things really quickly. So, it is tougher, but you're gonna see it's still gonna be taken out fairly quickly. If you wanted to see some longer fights in this game, you need to watch DLC Speedrun, because the fights are a lot tougher in the DLC compared to the main game. But we still get to see all the fast-paced action here in the main game. I guess also another reason I would like to point out is the reason why I love New Game Plus a lot more is also if you ran the game any percent, which is would be a new game run where you start from afresh. That run just has a lot more RNG to it. So as speedrun, New Game Plus works better in that regard. Because in any percent runs or new game runs, you are just a lot more reliant on RNG to go your way. And it doesn't just come down to how well you're playing. You have to have certain things go your way. So that's another reason why I personally prefer New Game Plus a lot. For this particular game. So in Gravehorde there's a lot of enemies in the beginning, but we don't have to kill any of them, so again we're gonna blow right by them. Because killing things that are unnecessary is just a waste of time. We're just gonna ignore them and head down the subline. Careful not to get stuck here while you're rolling around. Can be a bit easy to get stuck. And we're gonna head into this room where we have to complete 3 puzzles here. The answers to these puzzles are always the same, so you don't need to... Normally you have to scan things to get the answer to the puzzle or a clue to what the answer is. But you know, since it's a speedrun, we already know the answer, so we are just gonna plug in the password right away. And once that's done, we can go up and the door will have opened into the next room. Now, there's a lot of tricks coming up in a little bit, and they happen pretty much back to back, so I'm gonna explain them really quickly here. First off, there's a little room here where we're just gonna go by them because we don't actually have to kill anyone here. Even though the game tells you have to, you can still skip them. Then we're gonna do a little bit of a wall run here to skip a lot of climbing. There's a small hitboxes you can jump on here. That's pretty good. And then coming up right here is another hologram where we have a conversation with Silence. And the door into the next room here will not open until the dialogue with Silence is over. But there's actually a power cell in here in this room. And picking up that power cell is gonna cancel the dialogue with Silence and therefore opening the door. Then the next skip comes right here. As soon as we open the door, we're gonna blow out the floor on the other side, skip the cutscene, and then fall down without taking any damage. Then we're gonna freeze the Deathbringer, bait out a stomp attack from him, and then keep freezing him. Then once he's fully frozen, use 2 turbo shots and a single shot. That was not quite enough. I must have missed a shot. What is... he's not dying. There we go. I must have done a little less damage on him. And then clear out the soldiers. Not quite sure why I didn't do enough damage. I think one of my shots might have... I think one of my shots, I didn't pull the bow all the way back, so I didn't get the damage boost. But oh well, that fight was still pretty quick. And right here is another hologram we can skip. But, fun fact. And this is important for later, so listen. When a hologram is playing, you don't actually have to be in the room for the hologram to keep playing. So we can just go in here and grab a lot of resources while we wait for the hologram. So let me explain what just happened. So here's a little recap. So right up there is the door we went through, and you can see the floor is missing. So as soon as the door opened, we blew up the floor. And don't worry, the hologram, we have plenty of time while I explain. So we blew out the floor, and then a cutscene played. And during that cutscene, Aloy walks onto that floor, and when the cutscene ends, we are standing on that floor. But because we destroyed the floor, there's no floor there, so we technically start falling during the cutscene. And if you start falling during a cutscene, you won't take any falling damage once you land. So that's how that works. That's how you can get down without taking any damage. Because I guess it was just a safety net by the developers that you couldn't take falling damage during a cutscene. So we just abused that fact there to make sure we could land without taking any damage and go straight for the Deathbringer. Because normally you have to go all the way around and climb down, which is really slow. And like I said, up there we also picked up the power cell, because it cuts a silence dialogue short and opens the door a lot faster. And then right in here, while the hologram is playing, we can pick up a lot of the medicine. So we have a lot to heal ourselves with, should it be necessary. If this was an any percent run, we would also loot a lot of boxes in here, which gives a lot of resources. But we don't have to care about resources in New Game Plus, because we should already have everything we need. Here we go, we can craft some ammo while they talk. There we go. And set up our weapons for the next thing coming up. Make sure everything is reloaded and that we have max ammo. And then we can leave right away here. So it's silent here. Then we're gonna walk to the very edge of this platform and then fast travel to Meridian. The reason why we walk to the very edge of that platform is because normally the game wants you to take down the zipline and then Aloy does a bunch of exposition talking to herself. But if you just walk to that edge of the platform, the game allows you to fast travel right away, instead of having to go down the zipline. Because you can't fast travel while on the zipline. And it's quite a long zipline. So, yeah. And right here we are heading to Meridian because it's on the way to the next thing. And right here we're gonna set up a quest later called Into the Borderlands, which is part of the Find Out About Aaron's Sister questline. And so since Meridian is conveniently on the way to where we're going next, we're just starting the Borderlands quest here while we're at it.
All of these people are here.
So just like the War Chief quest earlier, we're just doing the beginning part of it and then we'll come back to it later. Right here we're supposed to follow Marat there, but again, we can just walk to the end and wait for him. Which gives us this little funny look, because Avad and Aaron is just standing here, staring blindly into the air, thinking about life decisions while we wait for Marat to get here. Because the cutscene won't start until Marat gets here. So yeah, we are just creepily gonna look at each other awkwardly until Marat gets here. That's always fun. Awkward situations.
Ignore them. Nobles are like children who whine.
And then after this is done, we're gonna fast roll out of here. Because this is all we needed to do in Meridian for now. So Marat's gonna get here. Cutscene, go through dialogue, and done. And then we're on our way again. Because now we are headed for Eclipse Base. So in the Eclipse Base, this is one of the places that has a lot of skips to it. So you'll see when we get there. Because we're not going to do that pretty much the intended way, or at least the first part of it. Excuse me. Yeah, just a short ride here to Eclipse Base. So now we're in the second half of the run, which where things are unfortunately a bit further apart from each other, so there's a bit more riding from A to B. But oh well. Right here we want to spot where the enemies are. There are two billowbacks. So we can see they're both there. The Ravager right to my left didn't do anything. That billowback is right there, so we're gonna go this way around him. Hopefully he's not gonna block the bridge. And I got spotted a bit early, so there's a Ravager over here that's gonna come running towards me. I'm just gonna go for the bridge here, because he wasn't that close. If the Ravager had been closer there, he could have hit me. And what I would have done, instead of going across the bridge, I would have gone to the left side of the bridge and using the bridge as a shield. But he was a bit farther away, so I took the chance and just went across the bridge. I'm going to do a little bit of shortcuts across the rivers here, instead of taking the normal roads. Takes too much time. Because normally you want to stick to the roads when you're using your mount. Because the mount is a lot faster on-road than it is off-road. So only when, only in certain places is it worth it to actually cut corners with the mount. Because other than that, you pretty much want to stick to the road so you get the fastest speed out of the mount.
You're very close now.
I was wondering when you'd speak up.
There's a shield rock wall just ahead. Look close, and you'll find head bones leading up.
Oh, really? And who put those there,
And then we're heading into the eclipse space itself here.
So much more exciting to keep it all mystery. Crash the
By the way, fun fact, if you didn't complete the Revenge of, or start the Revenge of the Nora quest, this would be the quest that you wouldn't be allowed or able to do later. So this is where the game would soft log if you didn't do the Revenge of the Nora thing.
What now?
Wait, that's one.
Alright, so right here you're supposed to sneak past all these enemies, but that's a bit slow, so we're just gonna run past them and try to avoid them. So coming up here is our first escape here in Eclipse Space. Normally you have to climb up here, but you can use this branch here to... Oh, messed it up. It's a very small hitbox for the second jump here. There we go. To get a bit early into the second area and instead of having to climb it. And right here there's a lot of scrabbers. Again, we can just walk by them. They don't really do anything. Climb up here. Then coming up here is the next skip here. Normally you're supposed to kill all these guys. We're only gonna kill this guy. And then we're gonna do the gate skip here, where we jump on this torch to get on top of the gate, like that. Instead of having, and then skipping that entire fight right there. The reason why I killed that one guy there is because the guys that have blaze on their back can shoot bombs. And when they shoot bombs, the explosions can knock you off while you're trying to do a skip, so... Playing it safe, you just kill that guy so he doesn't shoot a bomb while you're doing a skip. Then once we climb on top here, there's gonna be some cutscenes and then we have to escape. So there's a bit of an escape sequence here, kinda like Uncharted style, where I guess shit hits the fan. And we have to make our escape here. So there's a lot of climbing here.
What do you think I'm doing? Taking a nap?
And then right here to skip a bit of climbing here at the end, we're going to do a little bit of a skip here. We're going to jump onto this rock, then jump over here to get over these rocks instead of having to climb on them. Then do a running jump across to cut a big corner. And then we zipline down. Just like that. And these enemies are also a bit slow to react to us because they are not anticipated on us so quickly here. And then we can escape right away here. As soon as that's done, we're gonna fast travel to the campfire we activated before we went to Maker's End. Because now we're gonna head into Zero Dawn. And Zero Dawn is the location that has the absolute most skips of any place. Follow mount here so we can get there a bit faster. And then head inside Sunfall here. So there's a bit of a glitch that's coming up, which I'm gonna try my best to explain. So we're gonna put the game in a bit of a glitchy state here doing Zero Dawn.
idea what lies beneath.
But first we have to get in there, so there's just a little bit of walking through the citadel here.
The submarine.
I say walking, but I do mean rolling, of course.
Now we get to see if your attack on their focus network was entirely successful. Success. Welcome to the Citadel, Eloy. I'll check back with you in a moment.
If you want to hear about today's bounties, head for the throne room. You're not going to make any shards by
And we're gonna jump up here to the fence, because it activates that cutscene a bit faster. Then we're gonna do a first little skip here. We wanna roll in between these two pillars. It's a little scary, lost a bit of health. So we get down a little bit faster. That was very slow, but you get the idea. Instead, normally you have to climb all the way down here, but you can roll in between these pillars, which is enough for you to survive. And then go all the way down.
This humble event marks a point of no return.
And right here we just wait for silence. He's just gonna do a little bit of warning, because some of the side quests gets locked out after this quest.
If you have errands to run, do them first or hold your
We'll just wait for this to be over. And then we are gonna enter Zero Dawn.
You'll tolerate what I give you, Silence. I didn't ask you along for the ride.
So Zero Dawn here is basically where we figure out what exactly happened in the past. Like, why is the world like this? Why is there machines? And why are people living more primitively? With machines roaming around? We can go over here. There's a bit of extra medicine here while this dialogue goes on.
a holographic theater.
But for fun fact, people that don't know, Horizon Zero Dawn is actually a post-apocalyptic game
Doesn't make sense.
that takes place about 1,000 years into the future.
He said it could not be stopped.
But it was. Somehow Elizabeth saved us. I've got to keep looking. Find out how she did it.
So we're gonna go through here. There's gonna be a couple enemies that spawn here, but these guys we don't have to kill.
They got it.
We can just head into the next room.
I can pass them undetected.
And then we're gonna hook the left side here so they don't shoot us in the back while we wait for the cutscene.
The whole Earth.
Now, coming up here is a fight here with 3 guys with cannons. So we preferably want to take them out pretty quickly, especially one of them, so not all 3 of them are shooting at us at once. Gonna shoot triple shot headshots on them. Like that, and like that. That was pretty clean. And we're gonna go down here and skip one of the puzzles, because normally you have to go upstairs, but if you jump right here and press... Oh. There we go. I got it, but I ended up on the other side, so I have to climb over here. There we go. You can actually grab the emitter for the second puzzle through the floor right there. Meaning you only have to do one of the puzzles. Because normally you have to do the first puzzle to get upstairs. To get the emitter. But you can grab it through the floor like that. Pretty neat trick. Then you just turn these and then you can move on. Then in the next room here is where the glitch begins. So just like Eclipse Space, I'm gonna take out this guy so he doesn't shoot us while we do the skip. And then we're gonna try climbing up this pillar here. Yes. And then turn the camera and jump. That was pretty good. So now, notice here that in the top left corner it says Deep Secrets of the Earth, Kill the Eclipse, which is the current quest and objective. Here's another skip to get down a little faster. Like that. So pay attention to that, and I'll explain it in a second. Just notice that the quest objective doesn't actually change. Then a little bit of skip here to get up here. So this is the glitch, or the skip I just did there in the room with those 3 guys. Puts the game in a bit of a glitchy state here. We're gonna open this door, and then we end the quest when we pick up this, or when we access the thing on the table there. And now we're gonna be in the Sun Ring. So now the game is in a bit of a glitchy state. So the game is still progressing, but the game still thinks we're inside Zero Dawn. If you look at the quest objective here in a second. Because the quest objective hasn't updated, but the game still plays on. And that's gonna... We're gonna use that to our benefit here in a sec. First we have to kill this behemoth here. So we don't have our weapons, we have to break the pillars to get our weapons back. So we're gonna stand over here to get him to run into the first one. Like that. And then we're gonna head towards the second pillar here as fast as we can. To get him to attack this pillar immediately. Gonna stand behind it, he's gonna run over here and do a stomp attack on us. Like that. And then a cutscene plays. Here in the cutscene you can see the glitchy state. Because you can see there's two platforms. One is collapsing and one is staying up there. So the game is a bit confused right now. Because like I said, it still thinks we're in Zero Dawn, but the game is still progressing. And that is going to work to our benefit here in a second. You can also see the platform is still there, even though we just saw it collapse. So you'll see here in a second once we're over with this fight. But first we have to take out this big boy here. So we're going to freeze him and shoot him with some turbo shots. So first touch him, and then we're going to start freezing him. And hopefully he can stand a bit still while I do so. I do not like this attack. There, as soon as he's frozen, I want to hit one in the eye and then one on the side of his head. And that's enough to kill him. Both of those were turbo shots. You want to kill this guy as fast as possible, because this fight works on a cycle. So it doesn't matter how fast you kill him, you just have to do it before the cycle ends. I think that was a bit slow. So this fight you can only gain or lose time in increments of 10 seconds. So I think that was slow, so I'm definitely losing 10 seconds here. But yeah, also a thing you will notice here after I'm done talking to Silence, the quest will not say it completed. Because the game still, like I said, thinks we're inside Zero Dawn. And here comes the benefit of that. You see, the game quest didn't complete, but now we can fast travel inside the Embrace, as we just did there. Because normally, the next quest here was, which is the All Mother quest, which is called the Heart of the Nora, you're not allowed to fast travel inside the Embrace. You have to go from the outside and ride all the way through the Embrace to get to the quest. But because the game still thinks we're inside Zero Dawn, we can fast travel inside the Embrace, because the quest is not active. And right there, as soon as we fast traveled, I restart from save. Restarting from save then gets rid of this glitch. And you will see as soon as the loading screen is over, all the enemies and the Heart of the Nora quest will have started. And you can see the last two quests are just completed. Or now completing. So now we are doing Heart of the Nora quest here. So right here we just have to go by all these enemies. Don't have to worry about them. We only have to worry about the Thunderjaw coming up here. So what that saves, the glitchy state there, is just that we can fast travel inside the Embrace instead of having to ride all the way through it. So right here with the Thunderjaw, I'm gonna make sure he spots me by shooting him. Because as soon as he spots me, the cutscene starts. Then we're gonna get close to him, and hopefully on the side of him, without him noticing, and then start freezing him here. Then we're gonna use triple shots to shoot him directly into his heart, and you can see that does a ton of damage. And if I could have landed another one... Can I get one more? Nope. Okay. Okay, normally you can, if you nail that, you can kill him really quickly. I did it in 4 shots. A really good one would be 3 shots. And as soon as he's dead, we have to clear out all these Eclipse soldiers that are left. I think that's the... Oh, one more. There we go. No? Okay, I'm really bad at counting here. There we go. All of them are dead. And then we find Ball.
We did it.
There we go.
We only have.
So yeah, the trick there to the Thunderjaw is freezing him and then shooting off the plates that are covering his heart. And then shoot directly into his heart, which does a ton of damage. You could see I was able to do like 3,600 damage on him per shot. Now we're going inside All Mother Mountain here. I'm gonna hug the right side here, so Resh talks. Because these matriarchs will not turn around and talk to us before the dialogue is over. And if you were to hug the left side there, Teb would talk instead. And his dialogue is longer, so that's why you want to be on the right side of that corridor.
I see you're inside.
Figured I might be hearing from you.
So it saves a little bit of time.
I never stopped.
Then inside Allmother here, this is another place where we learn about Aloy's past.
Looks like they don't like this very much.
Genetic identity confirmed. Entry authorized.
Of course they hated
Greetings,
it.
Dr. Sobek. You are clear to proceed.
Or this is where we learn about Aloy's past, I mean.
So, what was this place?
Like I said, I don't have much time to explain the story. But oh well.
Realized.
So right here we scan the table. Skip the cutscenes, and then we are out of here.
Identiscan malfunction rectified. Elucianized. Route 1 access unsealed.
And right here the quest is done. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to fast travel from inside the mountain here, so we have to get out before we can fast travel away. As soon as we're out here, we're gonna fast roll back towards the desert area we went when we did the ambush. So it's right there. And then we're gonna head towards the Borderlands quest, which is where we find out what happens to Aaron's sister. Because it turns out she's still alive. Shocker, I know. There's a bit of a ride here to the Borderlands quest, because it's a bit further away. Again, this would be another great time for donations. Or whatnot. So I'm just gonna get a quick drink while we're at it. Believe it or not, it's not easy to talk for 2 hours straight. Need a little bit of water in between. So the Borderlands quest here, first we're gonna meet up with Aaron at Pittscliff, where we are just gonna do a little bit of examination, and then we're gonna go to Durble's workshop, where we are gonna have a big fight there. And that is actually one of... It's a fight that might look easy compared to some of the others, but it is actually quite tricky, because as you will see when we get to it, it requires a lot of precise shots.
Not far from Pitchcliff. Morad said to look for his agent and tell him to the place.
First, we're gonna do another little campfire activation. First, there's a campfire we want to get to, which we're gonna use after the quest. So right here, instead of going straight to Pittscliff, I'm just gonna take a right and head across this bridge. And then once again, you can pay attention to the navigation bar. And you can see as soon as the campfire turns green, I'm gonna turn back around. Because now that campfire is active, so we can use it later. It is a bit faster to go out of your way for it. Because normally, after the Pittscliff, there's a cutscene that happens here at Pittscliff. But if you don't go to Pittscliff after the Borderlands quest, that cutscene won't be there, so that's why it's faster to activate that campfire. So we're gonna leave a mount here, because we're actually gonna do a little special way of getting up the town here.
Morad's agent should be at the marketplace by now.
First, we're just gonna head to the marketplace, meet up with Aaron, and we're gonna use this fruit stand to get up here early. We're gonna examine the body. And then we're gonna use this machine to jump over the fence and get right down to our mount right here. Which is a lot easier than taking the normal way out the city. Why take the normal way when you can just jump across the wall? And then we're heading for the workshop here. There's a lot of machines here, but none of them were really in our way, so we could just kind of ignore them. Same with these long legs, they're not blocking the road, so we're good to just go right past them. To be fair, this run has had some pretty good luck when it comes to machines right in the middle of the road. We do have some preventative measures in case there are machines blocking the road or looking straight at us. But we've been pretty, the game has been pretty kind, so didn't really have to worry about that. Alright, so the fight right here, we want to be as stealthy as possible. Or we don't want to get spotted. Because if you get spotted, all the enemies will start moving around and go behind cover. But we're just going to take out these guys in a specific way. Take out all the free scouts in the tower. Oh, we already got spotted. I'm not sure why, but well. Now we just have to do the backup. Careful here, because these enemies can do quite a lot of damage. So you can see here how all the enemies are moving around. And I'm just using triple shots all over the place, so... Because these guys are tough, so we can't just one-shot them. With body shots. There we go, that's all of them. I messed this up a lot, so I'm quite good at the backup fight, in case it goes wrong. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the stealthy way. Right here, then another guy spawns. We're gonna freeze this guy, and then we're gonna use a triple shot headshot to kill him. He has a lot of health, so it helps freezing him so we can do more damage. Oh. Then we're gonna examine the papers there. And talk to Aaron, and done with the quest. When we're fast round to the campfire we activated earlier. Looking at the time, I didn't actually lose that much time, considering I got spotted really early. So, pretty good backup fight. Not too shabby. Now we're gonna head to Gaia Prime. This is one of the quests in the game that has absolutely no combat in it. And we don't even get to see a single machine during the quest. Or we might see one, but we're not even gonna get close to one, because we're gonna do a big skip to avoid all the enemies at Gaia Prime. Including the big stormbird that's normally there. Which people might remember from their own playthrough. Let's hope these guys doesn't knock us off, because I got spotted really early by these guys. And they're already coming straight at me, so I'm just gonna play it a bit safe and go around in a big circle. That seemed to have worked. Normally I would cut across a little bit earlier, but if I'd done that, I'm pretty sure they would have gotten close to me.
Fascinating, if they weren't looking for me.
So coming up here is the beginning of Gaia Prime. So normally you have to sneak your way past a ton of enemies here, or if you're crazy, I guess you could fight all of them. But we're gonna take a very specific route up the mountain to make sure we don't have to deal with any of them. So we are gonna do a little bit of what you would call skyriming, which is basically just jumping up the side of a mountain, because I'm pretty sure everybody did that when they played Skyrim. Who actually took the roads in Skyrim. Normally you have to go to the left there to the normal path. But we are just completely gonna abuse the environment here. And then we are gonna head up a bit further here. And this is actually faster. It's not that... it's actually faster by roughly a second. To do this compared to the normal path. So it doesn't save that much time, but the important thing is that avoiding all the enemies just makes it consistent, because normally the enemies would have a big chance of hitting us and slowing us down. But this path is obviously consistent because it just relies on our movement here. So that's why we are also using this path. Because this is just some easy mountain climbing. Also notice the message on the screen that tells us to turn back. But we don't have to worry about it. It's actually not time-based. Like, you can have that message on the screen for hours without nothing happening. Because it doesn't matter. You have to go far enough out of bounds to actually get teleported back. So you don't even have to worry about it. Whoops. Get down here. What? That has never happened before. So, that's pretty bad. Oh well. That's actually the first time I've died doing that. Ow. Oh well. Now we're back here, so we probably just lost a minute and a half. Anyway, let's just ignore that. I guess you get to see me climb up the mountain once again. Because that's fun. Oh well, first big fail of the run. And then, of course, it had to be a really costly one, but whatever. Still a good showing of the run. Now we just climb up the mountain again, because, fun fact, there's no checkpoints while you climb this mountain, so...
Stalkers in the open.
And now I fucked that up. Now let's do the backup here by climbing up here. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Here we go.
Yeah, it's guarded all right. But I can get through this.
And let's jump up here. There we go. So of course, all the hard combat I do pretty well at in this game, and then when it comes to just getting over a mountain, of course I mess it up. That's just my luck, I guess. Anyway. But good thing we weren't on world record pace or anything, so didn't matter. No matter what, this run wouldn't have been any good, or it wouldn't have been world record at least. Could have been a pretty decent run. Oh well. Let's just ignore what happened here and move on. So right here, like I was saying with this message, it's not time-based. You just have to go far enough out of bounds to get teleported back. But yeah, so you don't have to worry about this message as long as you take the correct path here. Alright, let's try and get down here without dying. Let's not YOLO it. Let's play it safe and go the safe way about it. There we go. Then we whistle for a mount. That's how it's supposed to look. Nice and easy, first try. So this is normally where the Stormbird spawns. But the Stormbird only spawns after the cutscene. And since we skipped the cutscene trigger, there's no Stormbird here. So that's how you get up to Gaia Prime without seeing a single enemy. Very nice and easy. If you don't die, like I did. Oh well. It happens. You mess up. It happens. What can you do?
Since when were machines any obstacle for you? If you could fly, I wouldn't have bothered with the climbing.
So now we're at Gaia Prime here. This is another place where we just go to watch some holograms, but there's actually a cool trick we're gonna do here to speed it up a little bit. Unfortunately, we're not skipping the holograms, because again, we don't know how to do that. Nobody has found a way of doing it. But we're gonna do something else instead, which I will explain when we get to it. So like I said, there are two holograms here, and they are not in the same room. They are a bit far from each other. But if you remember back at Gravehorde, I told you that you don't have to be in the same room as the hologram for it to play. It keeps playing even if you leave the room. So that's what we are gonna abuse here. But we're gonna start by heading to the first hologram as fast as we can. And then, once the first hologram is active, we're gonna head back and go to the second hologram, using a bit of an unorthodox method of getting there. Because normally you can't get to it before you watch the first one, but you know, we're speedrunners. We have our ways of doing things. If there's a will, there's a way. I'm sure people know how that works at this point.
Once this was all enclosed by rock and metal.
So right here, coming up here, is the first hologram. And the important thing here is just that we get to the second hologram before the first one ends. So once we have started the first hologram, which is going to be right up here, it doesn't matter how fast we get to the second hologram, we just have to get there before the first one ends. So now that it's active, we don't actually have to hurry. Because you actually have a lot of leadway with this. The first hologram is a bit long, so you have plenty of time. So right here, we technically can't lose any time. Unless, like I said, we don't get there before the first one ends. But, of course, you want to speed it up anyway, because the skip to get to the second hologram is a bit tricky, so... you want to get to the trig at least as fast as possible, so you have as many tries to do it. Because, you don't want to waste your time and then only have, you know, 1 or 2 tries to do the skip. And then you didn't make it in time. Now we're going all the way to the back where we first entered. The hologram is still playing. You just can't hear it. So right here is the skip to the second hologram. There's 2 methods of doing this. I'm using my own personal way because I just prefer it. And like I said, it doesn't matter how fast it is. As long as you know, get there before time runs out. Right here, we're gonna jump on this beam, then go on this plate. Oh, I slipped off, so we have to do that again. Gonna do a jump up here, running jump onto that beam. That's the tricky part, just to get on top of this beam, and jump over here on this beam, jump on this plate, step it a little bit back so you can do a running jump up here. And jump up here and then grab the climbing spots on the other side. Here we go. Now we're gonna climb up here and then we can get to the second hologram. Normally when you do that really fast, you can like attempt it like 5 or even 6 times if you're really good. And then we're gonna start the second hologram here. So now we don't have to worry about it anymore. Because now we can just head back, and now we just need to wait for the first hologram to end. I like to leave the room there where the second hologram is playing so I can listen for it. So now we're just looking at the quest objective that says view the hologram. As soon as that gets crossed out, we are gonna restart from save, because that's when the first hologram ends. And here comes the trick to it. Because the problem is, after each hologram, you have to talk to silence afterwards. So you can't just start the first one. There it goes, restart save. Because you still have to talk to silence afterwards. So, because the first hologram is now ended, that's going to put our checkpoint back at the first hologram. So when we restart from save, we spawn here at the first hologram, where we can talk to silence. As soon as that is done, the quest objective then changes, so we need to watch the second hologram. And because the second hologram is already playing, it means our checkpoint is now back at the second hologram. And then we just have to watch the second hologram. Now you might wonder, why does this save any time? Well, it's because, as I said, the 2 holograms are pretty far from each other, as you probably also saw. They're a bit far away from each other. So, instead of waiting for the first hologram to finish, and then go to the second one, we go to the second hologram while the first one is already playing. And thereby we save the entire travel time to the second hologram. So it saves around 45 seconds. It actually saves quite a lot.
See what this is about.
So we just utilize the downtime of the first hologram to get to the second hologram. And then, of course, abuse the checkpoint system to get back and forth real quick.
I can't stop thinking.
So now we just have to watch the second hologram here, where Ted does his little TED talk here. Some would say this is the worst TED talk in history.
Like it's a gift.
But that is up for debate.
Talked about this before. Apollo has 3,000 plus fail-safe conditions.
It's not a gift, it's a disease.
And once that's done, we're gonna grab the Master Override and head out of here.
It doesn't need to be like this.
And then we're gonna head back to Meridian, where we're gonna finish off the game. Because after this, there's only 2 quests left. And both of those quests takes place back at Meridian.
You crazy bastard! Millennia of culture.
Sorry about that.
But sometimes, to protect innocents have to die.
So right here, as soon as they fall dead, we're gonna stand over here and wait for Salients to spawn. Then we need to talk to him again. There we go. Grab the Master Override. And then head back to the very beginning, where we then finish the quest, and then we head back to Meridian here. And instead of climbing down, we're just going to do a little bit simple parkour here. It's a lot faster to fall down than it is to climb down. By the way, I don't recommend that in real life, even though that fact is also true in real life. In real life, I recommend using safe strats to get down from things. Anyway, we're going to meet up with Silence. For once in human form here. Or actually, we met him in human form back at the Sun Ring as well, but I digress. Done with that, pick up his spear, and head back to Meridian for the last 2 quests. Oh, there we go. And I lost about 2.5 minutes there, so yeah, that was pretty rough. Oh well, it looks like we are still on pace to get us up to our run, so... You know, if it weren't for Gaia Prime, this would actually have been a pretty solid run. Granted, I don't know how the last part was gonna go, but... You know, on Gaia Prime it was going pretty well. But I made a very dumb mistake there, so... Let's just ignore that fact and focus on the end here. So as soon as we spawn in, we're gonna head straight to the palace for the start of this quest. This is the last quest before the final quest. This is the last part of meeting up with Aaron's sister. Or, you know, in the plotline about Aaron's sister. Because the guy that kidnapped his sister is now gonna attack the city and claim revenge, and we're gonna stop him. And once that is completed, we can go straight into the last quest, because then we have completed all of the main quest lines. Right here, we just get through the dialogue to start the quest. Then we're gonna head into the menu here and then swap out our power shot bow with another striker bow, and then fast travel to the campfire in Meridian. Because the place we need to go is across town. And it's faster to fast travel there. Now the second the second striker bow I loaded there is a striker bow, but this one is modified to have a lot of fire instead of a lot of damage on it, because we're going to use the fire for some Glinthawks that are coming up. But first we have the infamous blaze skip coming up here, so let's see if we can get it. So right here, meeting up with Aaron in this house here, there's some dialogue you can skip here. So you'll notice the not right now triangle prompt there. It's gonna flash for a second here. And... okay, I didn't get it. So you can see the triangle prompt was active for like a frame or 2. And if you can press both of them frame perfectly, you can skip the dialogue that's right here. And it actually saves 18 seconds, but it's pretty hard to do given that it's 2 frame perfect inputs. But yeah, I didn't get it. Oh well. So you could consider it very skillful to hit those 2 frame perfect inputs, or you could consider it luck. It's up to your interpretation, but yeah. Because it is frame perfect, and for the second one there's no audio cue or visual cue for when you need to press it, so it's almost a guess, so that's why I lean towards calling it luck more than skill. So now we're on the chase for Derval here. He's gonna go into the palace. Here we're gonna do a little skip to skip some of the climbing. And the reason why I'm skipping all the climbing in the game, I guess I didn't explain that, is because climbing is very slow. So when you can skip it, you want to skip it. It's faster to just abuse the environment and all the hitboxes of the environment to traverse it instead of climbing it the intended way. Skip these two guys on sewer patrol and head into the palace there. Alright, so first we're gonna fight Derval here and two of his goons. They're gonna die pretty quickly. And then right after, Glinthawks are gonna spawn. Which is the tricky part of the fight, because Glinthawks are very unpredictable. So where's this guy? He's heading down the stairs. Let's shoot him in the back. And then the other guy is down the other stairs. Where is he? As soon as he's dead, then... Oh, missed. There. Then we're gonna use the fire arrows here to set the Glinthawks on fire, because when you set them on fire, they're gonna fall to the ground like that. And then we can use 2 bombs to take them out. He's not gonna fall down. Like I said, Glinthawks are very unpredictable, so sometimes they don't do what you think they're gonna do. So now 4 more Glinthawks are gonna spawn. Let's try to hit them while they're flying. Because if you hit Glinthawks while they're not flying, they will not get stunned by the flame, and you have to chase them down then. One of them, once I set on fire, landed on the bridge. That's a bit unfortunate. But these are right on top of me, so I can set them on fire real quick. One of them is all the way in the back, so I have to wait for him. There we go. Okay, he's close now. There. Also, during this fight, you want to work your way back up the staircase, because as soon as the fight is done, you need to talk to Derval here. So you want to be as close to Derval as possible when the fight ends. So there's a lot involved in that fight.
Yeah. Well,
And as you can see, Glinthawks are very unpredictable for where they're gonna fly and where they're gonna land once they're on fire. Then we're gonna talk to Avad here. And conveniently, when you finish the Derval quest last here, before the main quest, finishing the Derval quest will then automatically start the last quest of the game. So now we are in the last quest here, or the final quest. And the final quest here has like 3 parts to it. Just create some ammo here while Marad is talking.
And do keep me appraised of each new arrival.
And talk to Marad, and then fast roll to Meridian. It's slightly faster to fast roll to Meridian than walking across the bridge. Why we do that? Because then we're gonna go to sleep in Nolan's apartment, and then the final quest will truly start.
get to safety. The battle begins.
So head in here. Let's get our weapons ready.
Empty.
Gonna need the ice rail right away.
Sleep. Did I leave anything unfinished?
And here we go. Skip the cutscenes. And then there will be one big unskippable cutscene here. This cutscene can unfortunately not be skipped, so we have to watch it. But it gives us some time to explain the healers fight, because that's the next thing coming up. And this fight is pretty quick if it goes well. So what we're gonna do in the healers fight, we only have to kill healers. We don't have to kill any of his goons. So we're just gonna rush up the staircase to healers and freeze him. And then hopefully get 2 triple headshots on him immediately. The reason why we want to freeze him is not only to get a lot of damage on him, but also Helis is really good at blocking your shots. So if you don't freeze him, he will just block all your shots. So freezing him stuns him for like a couple of seconds, where he can't block or anything. So we're gonna hopefully hit both of the headshots while he's still stunned. Because if you don't hit him while he's stunned, he can start moving around and then he can block a lot of your shots. So you really want to avoid that from happening.
bunkers you spoke of?
To the guns! To the guns!
And the other problem with the fight is because of all his goons and himself, because everybody right there can do a lot of damage. So you also have to keep a close eye on how much damage you take, and heal yourself fast if you lose a lot of damage. Or if you take a lot of damage. So right here's Helis, there's a nice upskirt shot as well. And then the fight is gonna start right after. And immediately after Helis, we are gonna go straight into the next section, which is Ridge Defense. But I'll talk about that when we get to it.
He will cut you down.
Not this time!
So here we go, we're gonna zipline down. And then immediately head up the staircase here to Helis. Then start freezing him, be careful of the guy right next to me. As soon as he's frozen. Get the headshots, that's one. That's two, nice, perfect. And as you can see, as soon as he's dead, we move right on. The fight is really fast when you do it correctly. And now straight into Ridge Defense. Ridge Defense is the longest and hardest fight in the entire game here. Especially because it's long, you have to really focus throughout the entire thing. And a lot of runs have died right here.
Where do you need me?
So we are gonna use the Hologram cannon here. To fight off all the enemies that come in here. And right here on the first Deathbringer, we are just gonna continually shoot at him like this. He's scripted to not shoot at you until the dialogue right there starts. And we're gonna walk to the side here to avoid taking damage while we shoot. Because if you take damage while you're charging up the cannon, like that, you can see the shot unloads from the cannon. There we go, he's already dead, that's very nice. Then let's take out the smaller machines here. There's one scrapper on the left and a sawtooth on the right. Excuse me, it's a Ravager. There's the difference. And as soon as they are cleared, the next wave will spawn here to the left. We start off with the Deathbringer here. And I want to keep shooting at this Deathbringer until the next dialogue appears on screen. So I'm just fully charging the cannon and shooting at him. You can see other machines have spawned in, but I'm gonna keep firing at the Deathbringer until the dialogue comes on screen. I'm not gonna kill the Deathbringer here, but I'm gonna do enough damage so my teammates can finish him off. There we go. Now we focus on the small machines. Because now the small machines are also close enough to make it easier to kill them. Because we want to take them out so they don't start attacking our teammates here. Because there are guys on the other platforms and they are shooting the Deathbringers as well. And we of course want them to just keep firing at the Deathbringers so we don't have to worry about it. As soon as that's down, the next wave is on the right here. Hopefully our teammates is finishing off the Deathbringer while we focus on these guys. Gas down. Let's take out the long leg here before that billowback gets close. And you can see the Deathbringer on the left was taken out there by our friends. And there we go, that finishes off the first part of Ridge Defense. Right here we set up our weapons for the Hades fight, which is after this. Because we have a little bit of a break. And then we can pick up the cannon and start firing over here. We can get 2 shots off here just to take out some of the trees that are in the way. And then we can see the Deathbringer already spawned there. Now we want to keep firing on this guy until the guys on the right gets close enough. Because like I said, we don't want the guys to start attacking the guys on the platforms. Because we want them to keep shooting. So we take these guys out before they get to the platforms. The long leg hit me. There we go, he's dead. That's a little bad. You can see there, the long legs can also hit you, and then you drop your cannon. And then we focus on the Deathbringer here until he's dead.
Gotta get to another platform.
Try to dodge the missiles. Because now you can see Glinthawks here are gonna come flying in. Oh, that was a bit undershot there. Glinthawks are pretty hard to hit here. That's really bad Glinthawks. You preferably want to hit them before they start flying around. There we go, that's good. Okay, it didn't end up too badly, because they're very hard to hit while they start flying. And then we're gonna start firing at the Deathbringer here, that's all the way in the back. Right here we can hit this guy 5 times before we have to switch our focus to the small machines again. There we go, that's 5. And then we start focusing on the small guys. Again, before they get to the other guys. The long leg baited me there. He's kind of just stopped in the middle of a sprint. But he's down. You also want to try to keep an eye out on the missiles, even though you can't look directly at the Deathbringer all the time. There we go, we keep firing at him. And now the Stormbird. So switch our attention to this guy. Stormbird is the tricky part, because he's obviously flying around, and he can also do some shock attacks here. So you want to try to dodge these, so you don't drop your cannon. Those perfect dodges. Because if you get hit by those, you will drop your cannon. You also want to try to burst fire the Stormbird here. There, okay, he died. And also the problem with the shock attack is you can't pick up the cannon if it's laying in the shock. And then finish off the Deathbringer, and that's that. So as you can see, it's pretty hard, there's a lot to it, but with a lot of focus you can do it pretty well. It's very hard to do while commentating. Normally on runs that are on really good pace, I just go completely quiet and just completely zone in on that fight. As I said, a lot of runs have died here at the very end of the run. Because it is just a very tough fight to do correctly. Now all there's left is the Hades fight. Which is gonna be another Deathbringer fight. Which is obviously gonna be the toughest Deathbringer in the entire game, but again, Deathbringers are very easy to kill, as you have seen earlier, so even though this guy is a little tougher, he's still fairly easy to kill. Not much to him on New Game Plus.
Aloy! Aloy! My own mother, you survived.
Again, this cutscene here is unskippable. I assume it's because the game is loading while these cutscenes are playing. Because the map is changing quite a bit.
They marched on the spire, dragging that thing with them.
Take care of the others, Teb. I've gotta go.
So first we have to head up to the fight through all this destruction here. There's just a lot of movement here before the final fight. Past the long leg here. Oh, he did hit me. I thought I got far enough. And we're gonna head across this water here, and then we're gonna whistle for a mount. Because it's slightly faster to ride across, ride the last path here. I couldn't whistle for a mount right there because I'm technically inside Meridian there. And that is inside a settlement, so you can't get a mount.
My strength is not yet spent. I earned it by ice and snow.
There's a little cutscene here. Skip that. And then the final ride up to the last battle here.
They must have gotten through the defenses. Vanguard. I have to get up there.
Now, the final fight is a Deathbringer again, and we want to kill him pretty fast. Not only because it's faster, but also, if you're slow in this fight, more enemies will spawn in
Keep pushing.
as well. But you only have to kill the Deathbringer.
Easy.
So, we're gonna do the same strat we did back at Gravehorde. We're gonna freeze him, and then use triple shots on his weak spots. So just like last time, you'll see I'm gonna go close to him to bait out a stomp attack. The stomp attack cancels out all his other attacks, so he's not gonna do anything else while that happens, giving me more time to freeze him. So you can see here I'm gonna get up close to bait out a stomp. There we go. That delays all his other attacks, giving me a bit more time to freeze. So I can freeze him before he shoots missiles. And then the freeze delays his missiles a bit more, giving me time to shoot freeze shots on that one. And we're gonna shoot freeze shots on the other one. Still no missiles, they're there. I'm moving in a very specific way once the missiles spawn to try to dodge them. And there we go, he's dead.
My way's clear.
Because the missiles always shoot at the same time. And as soon as we have triangle here, that ends the run. So that is time. But yeah, there for the last fight. Once he starts shooting missiles, you want to move to the left. And then once you've shot the guns on the right, you want to start moving to the right. And that way you dodge the missiles. But yeah, that is a run of Horizon Zero Dawn. New Game Plus on Ultra Hard. Unfortunately, I had that big blunder at Gaia Prime. Otherwise, this run would have been 2 minutes better. But oh well, a big blunder happened. What can you do? It happens when you're commentating and running at the same time. You have to make mistakes, you know. That's the luck you get doing this. But anyway, I hope everyone who watched this enjoyed it. So thank you so much. And for the guys doing submission videos or watching submissions for GDQ, hope you enjoyed the run. And I hope the run will get accepted for CRDQ event, because it would be a lot of fun to show this off in front of new people. So yeah, that's very nice. Big thanks to everyone in the Horizon Speedrun community, because they have done an absolutely incredible job, especially here in the last couple of months. The community has been growing, more new runners and more people getting interested, so that is awesome to see. So yeah, thank you to all them. I'm gonna let the last 2 cutscenes play out here, so just for anybody watching on YouTube, if you enjoyed this, I would much appreciate a like on the video, because it helps out a lot. And if you want to watch more Horizon content, consider checking out my stream if you want to watch me do the runs live, or subscribe so you get notified whenever I upload a new video. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the commentated run, and yeah, I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the last 2 cutscenes, and thank you so much for watching.
Okay, Gaia. Sorry about that. Where was I?
You were telling a story.
Right. Yeah, so, like I was saying, it was a children's electronics kit, but I hacked the wiring to an auto battery and solar PV. So the grass caught fire. And, so did a tall pine that had stood there, I don't know, maybe 100 years.
Query. You were how old?
6. My mother was home, thank God, so she called the fire department, and after, she took me out to the lawn and showed me the dead baby birds, because there were nests in the pine tree.
Query. What did you feel?
I'm not sure. I remember yelling that I didn't care, and that's when my mother took my face in her hands and spoke.
Query. What did she say?
She said I had to care. She said, Elizabeth, being smart will count for nothing if you don't make the world better. You have to use your smarts to count for something. To serve life, not death.
You often tell stories of your mother, but you are childless.
I never had time. Guess it was for the best.
If you had had a child, Elizabeth, what would you have wished for him or her?
I guess I would have wanted her to be curious. And willful, unstoppable, even. But with enough compassion to heal the world. Just a little bit. Anyway, that's all I've got for now, Gaia. Time to tuck in.
I wish you a pleasant sleep, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'll catch you tomorrow.